Hello everyone and welcome to the revamped Solihull Radio Rock Show. I am your host Jake and I will be with you until 8 p.m. tonight. So what you had just heard there was my band's latest single, Withering Trees and Falling Leaves, by my band Endercast. I thought what better way to introduce myself than with my own band. I know, a bit of a shameless plug, but it's available from all good retailers. Now I've just thought I'd introduce the new show for you. We're going to be doing just some good quality rock music now for the next 2 hours. The usual stuff you'd expect to hear. And so I thought, what better way to get through all these years of rock history than do a rock history? So later on in this programme, I will be doing a brief history of rock. This week, I'll be starting with the 1960s. So feel free to listen in for that. It'll be a bit different to the stuff I'll be playing in the first half of the show. So if you're not really a fan of what I'm playing for the first half, then bear with. You might enjoy the second. If you want to suggest anything for me to play, please do. I'm open to suggestions. If you want to email us in at studio@solihullradio.com, ring us on 0121 70 40 185 or text in on 075 64 30 30 64. So, I'm open to all forms of rock, by the way, so if you want to listen to something from the 50s, then just let me know. If you want to listen to something from last week, again, please tell me. But right now, I'm going to play something going back to the early 90s. I'm going to play something by a band called Alice in Chains. This is a song from their debut album. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am. This is from Dirt. This is Them Bones. How did you like that? That was Alice in Chains with Them Bones. So I thought now would be a pretty good time to play this. I'm not one to, as you can tell, this is brand new. There isn't even any jingles or idents that I've got for me. So I'm going to borrow one from the previous rock show and put this in before it gets a bit late and I do something wrong.
Now, there might be a few naughty words in this song, but we know you'd never repeat them.
I'm not going to say what I'm going to be playing is going to be full of swearing, but I can't remember in all honesty, so I thought I'd better play that just in case. So I'm going to play something a little bit more well-known now by a band that most people will have heard of called the Foo Fighters. I believe you may have heard of these before. So that was My Hero by the Foo Fighters. I'm sure you've heard that one before. It was off Colour and the Shape from 1997. Now I'm going to be showing my young age in a minute. I don't know if anybody's been keeping up to date with the social media or anything, but they're definitely on Facebook. I'm not sure about on anything else. There will have been a post that was put up about me doing the Revamped Rock Show. And as you can tell, I'm a bit of a drummer. I've got, usual rock look, long hair and everything, but I'm not old enough to remember some of these songs coming out. So, particularly the second one I played tonight, Them Bones. And so I'm going to play something now that reminds me of being at school. It was released when I was just coming into secondary school. So it's got fond memories for me. And it may not be to everyone's taste, and it's probably not what most people think of as being particularly rock, but it's a classic to me anyway. So here's some Kaiser Chiefs with Ruby. Apparently I can't talk tonight.
So little else occupying my head. There is nothing I need except the function to breathe. But I'm not really fussed, doesn't matter to me. Ruby, 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 Ruby. And do you know what you're doing to me? Clocks be reset and the pendulum's held, 'cause there's nothing at all except the space in between, finding out what you're called and repeating your name. Ruby, 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 Ruby. Do you know what you're doing to me?
So that was Ruby by the Kaiser Chiefs, a song that I like even if I may look a little bit too heavy metal to enjoy it. Now, we're just going to take a break to listen to a couple of ads from our sponsors, so I hope you'll bear with me and see you again on the other side.
Solihullradio.com.
Fed up with condensation every morning and hate that yucky mould patch in the bathroom? It's time to contact EnviroVent. They've helped tackle mould and condensation dampness in over 1 million homes, just like yours. To find out more and to book a free home survey, visit envirovent.com, because air matters.
Solihullradio.com.
Stagecoach Solihull teaches skills
in drama, singing and dance.
But these skills don't just vanish when the curtain falls.
They're skills for life, stretching imaginations and improving literacy.
For a career in the arts, learning new skills. or just having fun.
So visit our website
www.stagecoach.co.uk/Solihull.
Stagecoach Solihull. Skills for the arts. Skills for life. Yeah!
The Fireplace and Stove Centre, 1204 Stratford Road, Hall Green. Specialists in wood-burning stoves, gas and electric fires with over 50 live displays in the showroom. Come in and experience your new fireplace solutions. Call 0121 777 85 85 for more details.
You're listening to Solihull Radio.
Indian Dream on Dove House Parade, Solihull's premier family-run restaurant offering authentic Indian and Bangladeshi cuisine with fresh ingredients and creative chefs. They can provide bespoke dining experiences, eat in or take away. 0121 704 9058.
Solihull Radio.
Hello, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little break there for a second. You could have made yourself a cup of tea in that time and sat down and listened to the ads. The time is now about 22 minutes past 6. You can, if you want to get hold of me and request some songs, please feel free. The numbers are, if you want to ring me, it's 0121 70 40 185. You can email in at studio@solihullradio.com. And if you want a text, it's 075 64 30 30 64. Now, in honour of this history of rock and going back to the 60s, I'm going to start rolling back the kind of styles and years of the music I'm playing to not quite match it, but get you more in the mood of it, ish. So I'm going to start by taking things back a little bit into the 80s. So, still keeping with the theme of rock, I'm going to play you now a classic Iron Maiden track called not Where Eagles Dare. Same album, but different song. It's off Peace of Mind from 1983, and this is The Trooper.
You fire musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand, there's no turning back. The bugle sounds, the charge begins. But on this battlefield, no one wins. The smell of ice smoke and a horse's breath as it burns you into sudden death.
Isn't that a fantastic song? Gets me air drumming every time. And an interesting fact about that song, it's based off the poem The Charge of the Light Brigade, which is, of course, about the Crimean War. Now, we've had our first request ever on this programme, as far as I'm concerned, and it's from a mystery text. They didn't leave their name, but they requested Still of the Night by Whitesnake. So here it is for you, mystery person.
My body started shaking and I just wanna get close to you, taste your love so sweet. I just wanna make love to you, feel your body in the still of the night. In the still of the night. Damn baby. In the heat of the day, I had my head down low, hide my face in the sun. Through the light of the day until the evening time, I'm waiting for the night to come. Ooh, oh baby. In the still of the night. Oh baby, oh baby, I can't get away. You drive me crazy, and I need you to go slow. Can't give away, can't give away, can't give away, can't give away, no. You gotta give me love, gotta give me some love every day. Can't give away. Can't give away. Oh baby, sugar baby. Oh baby, oh mama.
I'm really sorry to have to do that and cut it short, but being the clever person I am, I didn't notice that this version of the song, at least, is 10 minutes long, so I thought it best just to cut it to a nice, polite 4 minutes. So that was a little flavour of Whitesnake's Still of the Night from their Live in Japan album. Not sure what year that was released, but it sounds pretty good. So thank you very much again to Mystery Person for getting in contact. So I'm going to start, like I said, I'm going to start rolling back some of the styles. I'm going to just take you back into going backwards. Now we're going to play something from the 80s again. We're going to play a song by a band you may not have heard of, but you will have probably heard the song in the past. And this is a song called She Sells Sanctuary, which is really hard to say after you've had a couple of pints. So, here you go, see if you can recognise this. Who doesn't love that song? That was She Sells Sanctuary by The Cult from their 1985 album Love, which is a great album. If you haven't heard it, you should pick it up and listen to it. Now, we've had a second caller of the night. They would like to listen to any song by White Zombie. And this person is a mystery caller again, so I can't thank them for another great song. So this is Thunderkiss 65. So that was Thunderkiss 65 by White Zombie, which is another fantastic band. I wish they'd come back, although we still have Rob Zombie playing, which is fantastic. Now, I know I keep promising rolling back years to a music gone by, so I'm going to play you a song now from the year of 1970. And it is a song by a guy called Elvis Costello, which again is probably not something you would have expected me to pick, given everything else that's been played tonight. But it's just a great song, and the bass on it is amazing. It's, well, yeah, just listen.
Chelsea. Everybody's got new orders. Be a nice girl and kiss the waters. Now the teacher is away. All the kids begin to play. Men come screaming, dressed in white coat, shake you very gently by the throat. One's named Gus, one's named Alfie. I don't want to go to Chelsea. Oh no, it does not move me. Even though I've seen the movie, I don't want to check your pulse. I don't want nobody else. I don't want to go to Chelsea. Photographs of fancy tricks to get your kicks at 66. And thinks of all the lips that it licks and all the girls that isn't going to fix. She gave a little flirt, gave us up my little cuddle. That there's no place here, bottom and a skirt waddle. Dabbles in her punishment, she's last year's model. They call her Natasha when she looks like Elsa. I don't want to go to Chelsea. Oh no, it does not move me. Even though I've seen the movie, I don't want to check your pulse. I don't want nobody else. I don't want to go to Chelsea.
Isn't that just a fantastic song? It's probably not what you expected me to play on here, but I'm open to all suggestions. So I'm not one to discriminate. If you want to call it rock, I'll call it rock with you. If you want to play something from the 1950s, then let's go for it. But, you know, don't take the mick. Don't give me like a 15-minute classical piece and pretend it's rock, please. Yeah, I'm not going to play that. But I hope you enjoyed that. Now, as I've been saying, trying to go back to older styles of music. Now, this is a newer song. It's quite a long one, so if you're not interested in long songs, you might want to go and make yourself a cup of tea. If you are, this is a good one. It's done in the style of the 70s, so in keeping with my attempted theme of tonight. I know I haven't particularly stuck to it very well, but here goes nothing. This is The Wild Flowers by a Swedish band called Opeth.
Trail of ancestry. funeral pyre. Should I speak? And they'll call me a liar. I retreat to my funeral pyre.
Oh, I hope you're all back. I know that was a bit of a long one. I'd not, although I'm trying to adhere to the radio kind of length of songs. There are some just so many good songs that are a little bit longer than that. So sorry if I do it. I'm not going to play you something ridiculous unless you really want to go and make yourself a cup of tea. Now we're quite close to the hour where we're going to be doing some. We're going to play the news. This is a radio show, so it's you kind of have to. And then afterwards, we'll do my little brief history of rock. So before then, we got a chance for one last quick request, which was requested by Josh, and they requested Metallica's Enter Sandman. So here it is. Isn't that just a quality song by Metallica there, off their Black album? Now, I'm afraid if anybody sends me any more requests, the lines are going to be closed, because I've got a pre-planned segment for the next bit, which may or may not run according to plan. But I'm going to give it a go anyway. I'm going to do a little bit of a history of music, particularly rock and roll music in the 1960s. But first, I'm going to go to news a little bit early, but I'm sure you'll all forgive me. I know you're all very nice people out there. You're not going to ban me from the airwaves just for playing the news 30 seconds early, so I'm afraid it's time for the news.
From the Sky News Centre at 6, the Environment Secretary is demanding French authorities protect British fishermen after violent clashes in the Channel. UK boats had smoke bombs thrown at them after fishing for scallops in waters which rival French crews have been banned from. Michael Gove says British fishing crews are not to blame.
They were fishing legally. They had every right to be in those waters. The dreadful scenes that we saw, which occurred earlier this week, were quite wrong. And it's the responsibility of the French, it's their waters, to make sure that people who have a legal right to fish can continue to fish peacefully, and we've been in touch with the French authorities in order to make sure that can continue.
A £5,000 reward's on offer for information leading to the arrest of a man wanted over the murders of his girlfriend and her mother. Jan Baz Tareen remains at large after the women were stabbed to death in Solihull on Monday. A 49-year-old man's been charged following a fire at a Sikh temple and Methodist church in Edinburgh yesterday. He's appearing in court tomorrow. The two sides in the Brexit negotiations say a deal is within their sights. Michel Barnier says the European Union is prepared to offer Britain a very close relationship after it leaves. Speaking to the Lords EU Committee, Brexit Minister Dominic Raab says 80% of the deal has already been agreed.
I'm confident that a deal is within our sights. We're bringing ambition, pragmatism, energy, and if it is matched, we get a deal. We're aiming for the October Council, but there is some measure of leeway.
An advert on Facebook for a fertility app claiming to be highly accurate contraceptive tool has been banned. The Advertising Standards Authority says the claims about natural cycles were exaggerated. The Scottish Football Association's delayed making a decision about whether to switch international fixtures from Glasgow to Edinburgh. The SFA board's considering whether to stay at Hampden Park when its lease runs out in 2020 or use Murrayfield instead. That's the latest. I'm Tim Jones.
You're listening to Solihull Radio.
Welcome back. That was the news. I hope you all bared with it, and you're in for our next hour. Now, this next hour I've kind of got planned. I'm just going to leave the music playing, and I'll do a little bit of talking over the top. Hopefully I'll get this right. If I haven't got this right, please feel free to correct me. I wasn't alive at the time this was happening. So, let's begin.
Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave. You know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well, you give me all your loving and your dirty loving, all your hugs and kisses and your money too. Well, you know you love me, baby. Still you tell me maybe that someday, well, I'll be blue. Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave. You know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave. You know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well, when Cupid shot his dart, he shot it at your heart. So if we ever part, then I leave you. You sit and hold me and you tell me boldly that someday, well, I'll be through. Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave, you know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well, that'll be the day. Ooh, ooh, that'll be the day. Ooh, ooh, that'll be the day. Ooh, ooh, that'll be the day. Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. A sugar and spice. I feel nice. A sugar and spice. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love won't do you no harm. And I feel nice, that sugar and spice. I feel nice, that sugar and spice. So nice, so nice, I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love can't do me no harm. And I feel nice, like sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice. So nice, so nice, 'cause I got you. Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I would. So good, so good, 'cause I got you. So good, so good, 'cause I got you. So good, so good, 'cause I got you.
Now I hope you're all into the vibe of the 60s music. Now I know what you're thinking. So far you've played a couple of songs from the 50s. This one currently playing now was released in 1958. And a rhythm and blues song. And my answer to the reason why I've done that is what do you think the people of the 60s were listening to? They were listening to songs like James Brown's I Feel Good, and they were listening to music from the 50s, and this is what inspired some of the great rock acts of that time. And it's important to remember that if you're doing history on a decade of music, that what came before it likely inspired it. So it's nice to pay homage to, even though I'm not going to do a little in-depth breakdown of the decade.
1, 2.
Let me tell you how it will be.
Thank you very much to Duncan's frequent contributor for his show, Norman, for those recommendations to play first. Now, you can't talk about the 60s without talking at least about the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. They were quite possibly two of the biggest rock bands around, and they're still, sell out. Well, the Rolling Stones still sell out now, and I'm sure the Beatles would, were they still all alive and still going. So I picked up, as you notice, I'm not going in chronological order. That would have taken me a lot longer to do. So I've decided just to pick some of my favourites from each of these artists and just play them.
If you drive a car, I'll tax the street. If you try to sit, I'll tax your seat. If you get too cold, I'll tax the heat. If you take a walk, I'll tax your feet. Tax man, yeah, I'm the tax man. Don't ask me what I want it for. If you don't want to pay some more, 'cause I'm the tax man, yeah, I'm the tax man.
The 1960s, not only musically but politically, was a very big shift from what had happened in the previous decades. The recent advent of civil rights and the big anti-war stance led to a lot of political music. And the Rolling Stones, who are playing currently, they are famous for one of their songs, which was played a lot as a backdrop to the Vietnam War in films, which is of course Sympathy for the Devil. And I shan't be playing anything too political here. I'm not a very political person. But it's important to kind of keep in mind that a lot of these songs, they've got politics in mind when they wrote it. It might not come out particularly well in their metaphors they've used these days, but at the time it was their way of getting across a message.
Painted black with flowers and my love both never to come back. I see people turn their heads and quickly look away. Baby, it just happens every day. I look inside myself and see my heart is black. I see my red door, I must have it painted black. Maybe then I'll fade away and not have to face the facts. It's not easy facing up when your whole world is black. Or will my green seagull turn a deeper blue? I could not foresee this thing happening to you. If I look hard enough into the setting sun, my love will laugh with me before the morning comes. I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes.
Now, one of the famous parts of the 60s is the so-called British invasion of music. And this was kind of blew up in the think it was about 1964 when the Beatles went on the Ed Sullivan Show. That's when Beatlemania really took off in the States. And a lot of it's because it was influenced by rhythm and blues and American music, and there were even some covers that these bands were playing and put on their albums of this music that they knew and loved, but with a completely new sound and take on it. And that's kind of what threw Britain forward in the music industry at this time.
I wanna see you painted, 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 painted black. Yeah.
Now, spurred on by some of that rock and roll we heard earlier, blues really came into music. Now, this song that's playing at the moment is by a band whose first album was really blues rock before they had a really big chart hit in 1970 with All Right Now, and this is Free. The band, not the music. The music isn't free, please pay for it. This is a song called Walk in My Shadow off their first album, and you can really hear the blues influence, and it was people like this and people like Eric Clapton that really changed the face of rock into this slightly grittier, edgier sound. And we'll be hearing more of Clapton later with a band he's more famous for, but just sit back and enjoy this for the moment.
I just wanna find out how you feel, walk in my shadow. I ain't gonna take it anymore. Oh yes. When I get you in the shadows, I'm gonna give you what's in store. It just wouldn't be cool, but I can tell you, baby, that I ain't no fool, walk in my shadow. I can't take it anymore. When I get you in the shadows, I'm gonna lay you on the floor.
Something else you might notice about the music as it's playing is the sound is getting a bit fuzzier, isn't it? And that's because this is the first kind of time that people are using distortion. And that's that intentional kind of dirty sound you hear. And that's, at this sort of time, it's when the first time people used it intentionally. For years previously, manufacturers of guitar amps and bass amps and all sorts of things like that had tried to get rid of it and keep it as clean as possible, which is where sounds like things like country come from, because it's all that really clean sound and this fuzzier, dirty sound that kind of brought on with blues and that sort of stuff really threw rock forward. And listen to it now, you can hear how much further it's gone, how much more distorted the guitar has become, to the point where sometimes you can't even tell it's a guitar anymore. And this is where it all started. People abusing their equipment to make this sound. So these sounds were not meant to be made by this equipment, but they did it. Something else you might have noticed is guitar solos have suddenly appeared, and they're much louder. And this is where, the guitar takes a much bigger role in it that we'll see in the decades I'm going to do next with this little history segment. Is so much, brings so much character to rock music that it takes on a life of its own. Now, back to the subject of recording. This band playing at the moment really did experiment as much as they could and push the boundaries of recording. And this is, of course, Pink Floyd. This is off their first album, which is See Emily Play, and this is before Dave Gilmour even joined. So this is before that Pink Floyd you know and love really happened.
Soon after dark, Emily cries, gazing through trees in sorrow, hardly a sound till tomorrow. There is no other day, let's try it another way. You'll lose your mind and play free games for me. See Emily play. Put on a gown that touches the ground. Float on a river forever and ever. Emily, Emily, there is no other day. Let's try it another way. You'll lose your mind and play free games for me. See
1960s brought the advent of something else that we've not taken for granted, but we just take as part of normal culture now, and that's the music festival, which really became famous with Woodstock in 1969, which had, some acts that you might recognise, such as Jimi Hendrix, Carlos Santana, The Who, and the Grateful Dead playing there, and it was an absolute shambles. They had not prepared for the number of people that turned up at all, and I'm surprised more people didn't die, to be honest. It was, you ever watched the footage, it looked awful. But then we brought it over here, we thought that looked good, and we did the Isle of Wight Festival. And we did a little bit more laid back, and we had people like Jefferson Aeroplane, Fairport Convention, and T-Rex. Although, later on, we managed to steal a couple of American acts, one of which was Bob Dylan, to play at the Isle of Wight, which was, big for the time.
She broke my heart, but I love her just the same now. Hush, hush. I thought I heard her calling my name now. Hush, hush. I need your loving and I'm not to blame now. You got early in the morning, you got late in the evening. Oh, well, I want and need it. Oh, I gotta have it. She got loving like quicksand. Only took one touch of her hand. Blow my mind and I'm in so deep that I can't eat y'all and I can't sleep.
This is another band you might recognise, you might not, but it's one that became famous later, and we're revisiting in the next in our series, which will cover the 70s. And this is actually Deep Purple doing a cover of an American folk singer called Joe South's Hush.
You got early in the morning, you got late in the evening. Oh, I need it. Hey, I gotta have it.
Now, it's impossible to talk about the 60s again without talking about Jimi Hendrix and Cream, which contained two of the great guitar legends of the 60s, which was Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix. Now, I couldn't bring myself to talk over the Jimi Hendrix song, because it is one of my all-time favourite songs. But this just shows how the balance is moving towards more guitar-orientated music as a solo instrument as well, so that it's really setting the stage for what happens later on in the 70s and 80s. And so, you know, it's what made rock.
I've been waiting so long to be where I'm going, in the sunshine of your love. I'm with you, my love, the light shining through on you. Yes, I'm with you, my love. It's the morning and just we two. I'll stay with you, darling, now. I'll stay with you till my seas are dried up. I've been waiting so long to be where I'm going, in the sunshine of your love.
One thing that also came to prominence in 1960s recording was something we really do take for granted today, which is stereo. So if you're feeling brave, and particularly if you're wearing headphones, just listen to one side of this song, so out of one speaker, and then swap over to the other, and hear how they just put things on different sides just for the fun of it.
I'm with you, my love, the light shining through on you. Yes, I'm with you, my love. It's the morning and just we two. I'll stay with you, darling, now. I'll stay with you till my seas are.
Now you may ask, why are you saying that it's for the fun of it? Well, because it was such a new technology at the time, people were just experimenting with it. So you listen to things and they were doing all sorts of crazy things, like panning the entire band left to right, seeing what they could do. And eventually we got it down to a good enough technique that we started doing something more consistent, but it's at this time that people started playing around with what studio equipment they got, so it's created the most unique sounds we've got today and really laid down how recording is actually done.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. And God, I know I'm one. My mother was
recognise this is The House of the Rising Sun by The Animals. Now, this is originally a cover of an earlier song, and it was so popular that this was actually banned from being played in guitar shops for years. This, along with Stairway to Heaven that came later, got banned and you get thrown out immediately for trying to play these songs.
Not to do what I have done. Spend your lives in sin and misery in the house of the rising sun.
Interesting song because this has been cited by many to be the birthplace of the guitar riff. This has become iconic and it's just one of the great songs of this era.
Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing now. Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. You really got me. Side. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing now. Oh yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. You really got me. You really got me. You really got me.
Anthony Lennox is another band that became famous later and changed themselves a bit differently. And this is actually status quo before they became the famous four-chord band that we know today. And these are some pictures of Matchstick Men from their completely absurdly called album called Picturesque Matchstickable Messages from Matchstick Men. The next two songs I'm going to just play through because they're from one of the two of the most legendary bands going, and they speak for themselves, and you'll be seeing more of them in the next episode. So we're going to play a song by The Who called My Generation, and one by Led Zeppelin, which will of course be Communication Breakdown.
Things ain't do look awful. My generation. I hope I die before I get old. My generation. This is my generation, baby. Why don't you all fade away? Don't try to dig what we all say. I'm not trying to cause a big sensation. I'm just talking about my generation. My generation. This is my generation, baby. You all fade away. Don't try to dig what we all say. I'm trying to cause a big sensation. Just talking about my generation. This is my generation. This is my generation, baby. My generation. People try to put us to down. My generation. Just because we could get around. My generation. Things ain't do look awful cold. My generation. I hope I die before I get old. My generation. My generation, baby. My generation.
So, those of you who made it this far, I'm afraid this comes to the end of the show. That's all we've got time for, unfortunately. I'll be back next week at the same place, on the same radio station. If you enjoyed it, please come back. Next week I'll be covering the 70s, and it might be a bit better, I promise. If you've enjoyed listening to Solihull Radio, then tomorrow morning we have a morning show which starts at 7 a.m, and that's Natalie that presents that. If you're not a morning person and you want to stay around in bed, then we have the unofficial weekend roundup, which I think might be a bit premature on a Thursday, but that's at 6 p.m. in the evening. So thank you very much for listening to me. I have been Jake. This has been The Rock Show on Solihull Radio, and I look forward to presenting again next week.